And welcome back. YVote is creating a cross-partisan youth civic engagement movement through people which young people channel their passions and beliefs into positive civic action and also beyond the ballot box. Here now, joining us is YVote's youth facilitator, Ananna, and then also we've got peer leader, Emmanuel Annan. And thank you both for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Super excited to be here.
Glad to have this conversation with you. And, we want to introduce our viewers, first of all, to Why Vote. And so, for those that may not know a little bit about Why Vote, ladies first.
Of course. So, YVote is a youth organization that really helps the youth develop leadership skills, research skills, and allowing them to project their voice in testifying to local officials and just like helping them amplify their needs and their concerns and what they want to advocate and see more of in their communities.
And so, I want to talk a little bit with Emmanuel for a moment because as you look at young people engaging in the political movement and just really being engaged in the political movement, some will say that doesn't always happen. But for yourself, why did you decide to engage?
I decided to join YVote and become interested in politics and social activism because in my school there isn't really a student government. And so when my sister, she has like a virtual bulletin board advertising different organizations, I knew that YVote would be the one. And I'm interested in being civically engaged because there are a lot of social issues that we have yet to see solutions from, such as the rampant amount of homelessness and food insecurity.
And when we talk about food insecurity, that's one issue. When we talk about homelessness, another issue. But when we talk about youth engagement, that's not always an issue that's brought up. But I know that's at the heart of what you do. I want to get to really talk with Ananna about this because I want to talk about this initiative here that you just had recently, which was a Winter Dataland event. And can you share with us a little bit about Winter Dataland?
Yeah, of course. So while I wasn't at the Dataland event, which was a few days ago, but it is essentially when YVO and other youth coalitions and organizations in New York City, they come together and they look at aggregated data, survey data to better and cohesively understand what the city youths care about and what their needs are, as well as crafting policy recommendations for local leaders based on this data. And with this data, it helps implement this policy breakfast that I attended this February. And it was an incredible experience to see how powerful the youth are and how engaged they are in this mission to advocate for their needs. And last February's, their focus was with economic mobility, climate justice, housing, mental health, and educational equity.
Emmanuel, when we look at the issues that are out there right now, what do you want young people and really us as adults to really be paying attention to?
There are too many issues for me to list, but I feel like the most important issue is for young people, especially, is to go out there and pre-register or register to vote. A lot of the times we don't see the results that we want to see because there's not a lot of voices that are projecting or crying out for help for the changes that we want to see made. For adults, I would say encouraging young people to go out and pre-register to vote and just being an adult ally.
Yeah. And also, I want to talk about 2024 because it's a huge time, not just here in New York City, but really nationally. What's been the work that you guys have been doing to really spread the word amongst your colleagues? It's time to be out there and vote.
I guess I'll start off first and pass it off to Anana. I know one of the first things that we are doing, and I have been on BronxNet before, was to talk about the Leaving College pre-registering event, where we have continued to go peer to peer, door to door, not necessarily, but peer to peer, and educate and encourage young people who may have been registered to vote to encourage others to that other people that they know to pre-register or register to vote. And I think I will pass it off to Anana.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And yeah, 2024 is a huge year when it comes to elections and getting involved in politics. So, of course, that pre registering and getting people involved with the pre registration process is extremely pivotal. And some of the work that YVote does is while we do get friends and family to vote, we also encourage our young Y voters to pre register as well. We also help enhance their media literacy skills. We teach young individuals about where to get their information from, the advent of misinformation, because with an election this huge and so significant, it's important to stay educated and connected with sources and data that direct us to like the more accurate realities of certain campaigns and the candidates that are running.
And Anna, when we talk about the candidates that are running and they're out there, I mean, they're hitting the pavement, they're trying to get votes. Are you somewhat dissatisfied that sometimes some of these candidates won't even come to a youth event or a youth organization such as yours to say, I need your vote?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm fully content with the way that things are being regulated or like just the political atmosphere with certain campaigns right now. But I do think that the power of the youth and how we amplify our voices and elevate the way we vocalize and project our civic opinions and our different perspectives. I think just getting people the vote out there to like encouraging friends and family to like stay educated and like stray away from misinformation, it does go a long way even when certain candidates aren't as like directed or like as immersed with what the youth can do.
Yeah. Emmanuel, what can you do to prepare themselves, particularly if somebody is not of age and they're not there yet, but yet and still they want to take advantage of this process or want to be engaged in this process? What advice do you have for somebody to be able to do that?
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I would give someone is if you want to be civically engaged, go out there and do it. I think that what propelled me to be civically engaged was finding out about YVote, and there's plenty of youth organizations around the city. So that way, if you feel like you can't do it alone, go out there, look for a youth organization that would be willing to work with you. And I think that's one of the most important pieces of advice that I would give. I would also give like what Anana says, staying close to the news, practicing media literacy, and making sure that you can discern the truth from lies.
When you get youth engaged and you see elected officials really respond and acknowledge, what's the feeling like for you?
When I see that, I feel like,
Excuse me. Uh huh. Thank you.
um, may you repeat the question?
Sure, I know my sneeze knocked that out. Tell me about when you see youth engage and you see electeds engage the youth, or the issues really come to pass, and knowing that you've had a level of involvement in it, how does that make you feel?
For me personally, one event that I can think of that comes to the top of my head is the Civic Expo, where we did have an assemblyman come. And so, knowing that elected officials are seeing the work that we are doing, are seeing the amount of time and effort to research and put these presentations together, and then come to these events and see the work that we are doing because we're passionate about it, it makes me feel really proud but heard because it's really important for me especially, but other people, to not only hear the promises that elected officials are saying, but to actually see them put in work and effort to say like they want to say like, oh, I want to be more popular with the youth, but it doesn't make me feel reassured unless I see them actually take the step to listen to youth, hear out the solutions they may have to certain problems in the city, and continue to engage with them.
I want to get an opportunity to talk about how you engage in peer leadership. You both are very, articulate, well versed on the issues. But how do you get to a place of getting more young people in the same boat as you're in?
So most typically when people join YVote, it's because they want to and they really want to channel that energy, maybe that frustration, and like really incorporate that core passion into the work that they get involved with. So it isn't always difficult or challenging to get people to like see things the way that we want them to, what the way that we want them to kind of go into. But yeah, mostly like almost always we all kind of like get together, we channel this energy, this spark for civic passion, and we allow them, we kind of, as facilitators, as peer leaders, we guide them into like the certain initiatives, certain projects, like Emmanuel also iterated before with the Civic Expo, getting involved in such a large project of like core issues, whether that's immigration, whether that's racial justice, whether it's mental health. We allow the youth to like expand and explore their creativity and how they want to tackle certain issues and their approach to it. And that's really the gist of it, just getting people, just getting young people involved in politics at such an early age. And well, actually, I wouldn't say such an early age. It's really never too young to get involved in civics or in politics in general, but just helping them navigate through feasible options of how to get their voice out there, it goes a great way.
Yeah. Uh, for you both, I'll get a chance to give you one shot each. What's the biggest issue at your heart right now that you want people to address?
Ladies first.
Yeah, we'll do guys first this time.
Um, I think the biggest issue for me at this current moment in time would be, besides all the voting stuff, would be food insecurity. I think it's really impacted me to the point where, shameless plug, but I am doing my school's first food drive,
All
student led
right,
food drive.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's not a shameless plug. That's a plug worth clapping for. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I say food insecurity is really imperative to me because I see so many New Yorkers. Like, I take a bus ride from East New York all the way to Brooklyn College. And on that bus ride, it passes through a lot of neighborhoods, and you can see the different levels of affluencism in each neighborhood and who's struggling and who's not. And far too many times do I see people who are going without food and starving on the streets or lining up on food pantries because there is not enough money for them to be able to afford the prices of food that are constantly on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, food insecurity is a huge component in an, I feel like we we also need a lot more addressing and a lot more action towards. And yeah, that was lovely, Emmanuel. And I'm so glad that you're starting your school's first food drive. For me, I think a core issue that I really want to address and kind of project is housing mobility as well as mental health. But housing mobility, I remember I know this is an issue that's like huge, especially in New York City, but part of YVote, I'm also part of the social media creator corps. And one of my posts when I was doing research, it was in regards to how much New York City spend New Yorkers spend for just for rent in here in NYC. And it was shocking to me to see that like more than half of our population spends an incredible amount over exceeding their the income that they make, or even more than half of the income that they make, and it just goes to rent. And it's really personal to me as well, considering how excessive and how expensive rent is here in New York City, especially when we have the whole migrant crisis occurring as well. So seeing that housing is an issue and seeing how my parents work hard for it, as well as many other minority families and other communities and families as well, it's really hard to like take care of themselves, take care of their families, their mental health, while also paying for rent that takes away half of their income. And on that note, I think that mental health and accessibility is a huge issue as well, because we tend to always prioritize like physical health. And while that is super important, we do dismiss and neglect the potency of like our inner health, our mental health, and how a lot of the way we approach things like really goes down to the root of what's happening to us inside psychologically. So not having that access to the right resources, counseling, whether that's financial needs or whether it's because it's not as um, prevalent, it's just like these two things I think are like really they are really important to me.
All right, before we go, I got a question. Emmanuel, tell me what school you go to.
I go to Brooklyn College Academy, but I'm on 11th and 12th grade is on James Hall in Brooklyn College campus.
Okay. Ananna?
Yeah, I'm a senior at Queens Gateway to Health Sciences.
I just want to tell you both, I'm very proud of you because I think that when you come to articulating the issues, I interview a lot of people and you know the issues better and can even sometimes articulate the issues better than most. And so I just want to encourage you, keep doing what you're doing, keep raising your voice because you are very seasoned, but at the same time, while you're very seasoned, you're also very inspiring to a lot of people to say, listen, maybe there's something I can do where I'm at if I'm watching you. And so thank you both for coming and sharing with us. I'm glad to have you with here.
Thank you. It feels amazing to know that we're heard and that people actually listen to us and take note of the things that we say and advocate for.
You are heard and we listen. Good to have you both.